We were 3 mounted heavy dragoons, our silhouettes hidden from the enemy by the mixed woodland that topped the ridge behind us. Perhaps I should elucidate. By heavy dragoons I am not suggesting that we were overweight, although some in our establishment perhaps could be described as such. My friend Sergeant Baxter, for example, bordered on corpulence, albeit he was a big fellow. No, heavy dragoon was a classification in King George's cavalry. You have the heavy and the light. Not really much to do with the size of the men. I, in fact, would be fairly described as slim and somewhat lithe. I could have been a hussar, had I fancied it, I suppose. Captain Dungroyd, another friend, and our troop officer, was well built and tall, but not in any way heavy. Cornet Beswick, who quietly sat his horse beside the captain, could reasonably be described as a lightweight, perhaps not mentally, but certainly physically, clearly well-bred and brought into the regiment by his father, who was undoubtedly a senior officer in his day. Cornet Beswick would best be defined as weedy and had little officer-like presence. He was a round-shouldered, pale and sickly young man with a squeaky voice. Unlike myself, strong jaw, dark, good looks, straight back and broad shoulders. Not that I was resentful of those whose relatives simply purchased them a superior rank, whilst I had spent the last 7 years struggling to rise to the inferior rank of corporal. No, not at all. But back to the classification. There was little to differentiate between the heavy and the light cavalry, save the uniform. We heavy dragoons wore the red tunic, a dull, faded, uninspiring red tunic akin to the one that the infantry sported. Now the light cavalry wore dark blue, tightly cut jackets, very smart, and if you were a hussar, your stylish dolman was festooned with fancy lace, and you topped it with a dashing fur busby perched rakishly on your head. Not a battered, deformed, and ill-fitting cocked hat, as we in the 8th Dragoon Guards were blessed with. Not that any of this concerned me at all. But here we were, 50 heavy dragoons, and a galloper gun, deployed on a hillside in northern Spain, waiting for the orders that would dictate our next movement. "Captain Dungroyd," I said with unmilitary familiarity, particularly for a mere corporal, "what is happening?" Waiting had been the order of the day. A stiff action had been fought between our forces and the French, column against line across the wide green valley below us, a valley that spread for perhaps 10 miles. Now it was all but finished. The French were driven back whence they came, our light cavalry in pursuit. The infantry had halted on the plain to recover their wounded and their composure.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.